This episode is brought to you by Progressive Commercial Insurance. Business owners, meet Progressive Insurance. They make it easy to get discounts on commercial auto insurance and find coverages to grow with your business. Quote in as little as 6 minutes at progressivecommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company. Coverage provided and serviced by affiliated and third-party insurers. Discounts and coverage selections not available in all states or situations.
Attention all small biz owners. At the UPS Store, you can count on us to handle your packages with care. With our certified packing experts, your packages are properly packed and protected. And with our pack and ship guarantee, when we pack it and ship it, we guarantee it. Because your items arrive safe or you'll be reimbursed. Visit the upsstore.com/guarantee for full details. Most locations are independently owned. Product services, pricing, and hours of operation may vary. See Center for details. The UPS Store. Be unstoppable. Come into your local store today.
The Red Apple Media Podcast Network presents This is Protecting America. Now, here's Emmy-winning journalist Rita Cosby.
And welcome to another edition of Protecting America. I'm Rita Cosby. Being a law enforcement officer is often a very difficult and also dangerous job as they keep the rest of us safe and secure. So what needs to be done to protect them? Well, joining us now is Lieutenant Randy Sutton. He's retired from law enforcement after 34 years of service, and he is the founder of a great organization called The Wounded Blue. Randy, it's great to have you here.
It's great to be here. Thanks for having me, Rita.
How perilous is it to be in law enforcement, especially right now?
Well, we are in a crisis, and it's being virtually ignored by the political leadership of most cities and states. We have a criminal justice system that has been dismantled for a number of years from within. From Trojan horse prosecutors, that's my term for them. That is, prosecutors who have been elected to serve, but instead of wanting to actually prosecute, they have their own philosophical ideologies that are anti-law enforcement, anti-public safety, and are based on ideology, not the law. Now, many of these prosecutors, district attorneys, have been put into place by George Soros and the billions of dollars that he has spent trying to dismantle our nation. Because the reality is this: without strong law enforcement, without a criminal justice system that functions the way it's supposed to, the very fabric of our nation deteriorates. And we have seen a huge deterioration over a number of years, especially was exacerbated by the George Floyd debacle. And we have yet to recover. And it's going to be a long, long time before we see a real sea change. And I talk about this during my interviews. I wrote about it in my latest book, Rescuing 911: The Fight for America's Safety. But it all comes down to this: that until the American people stand up and say enough is enough, that we have to take our cities and our towns back. We have to believe in public safety. We have to put people into office that also believe in public safety instead of, ideological thought processes that are based on race and based on, the cancel culture that we have seen that has, been very pervasive over this nation.
How much, I guess, more difficult and just incredibly frustrating it must be. Here you guys are locking them up. And then to your point, because of this sort of Trojan horse prosecutors, they're back out on the streets. I mean, there are cases, one just recently in Charlotte, North Carolina. This guy had 14 priors that we know of, maybe even more. Why is that, and how much more difficult and I think just infuriating for law enforcement? You do all the hard work, you get these people behind bars, and then they walk the next day or days later.
It's very debilitating, Rita. It's very debilitating. The hardworking officers that are out there literally, facing peril every single day that they go out on duty. We've seen an absolutely astounding rise in the physical assaults of law enforcement over the last 4 or 5 years. Last year, Rita, this is a shocking statistic. About 89,000 police officers were physically assaulted. They were shot, they were stabbed, they were beaten, they were hit with bricks, they were kicked, and that's up about 35,000 from where it was 5 years ago, when we had even more police officers. So that number should tell you something. That these men and women are facing physical danger, but they're also facing intense emotional issues as well. And this is when you talk about how are they feeling when they see this revolving door justice, and I'm using air quotes when I say justice. It is debilitating. They believe that they're working against their own government, because it's the government, it is the city governments. Like, look at Washington, D.C. They have made it impossible for the police to be effective. And as a result, now we're seeing, what President Trump has done with basically, putting a huge federal presence plus the National Guard. Why? Because the political left, the city council, the mayor, have destroyed the ability of law enforcement to be effective in Washington, D.C. Well, that's happening across the country. It's happening in Chicago. It's happening in Los Angeles. It's happening in Milwaukee. It's happening in many, many cities. We still have not recovered a sense of normalcy where everyone should be concerned with public safety. It should be. It is the responsibility of the elected officials of this nation to take their citizens and put them first when it comes down to criminality and public safety. And that is not what we're seeing.
Trying to lose weight? It's time to try Hers. At forhers.com/4u, you can access affordable, doctor-trusted weight loss treatments tailored just for you. These include oral medication kits or compounded GLP-1 injections. Through Hers, pricing for oral medication kits start at just $69 a month for a 10-month plan when paid in full up front. No hidden fees, no membership fees. You shouldn't have to go out of your way to feel like yourself. Hers brings expert care straight to you with 100% online access to personalized treatment plans that put your goals first. Reach your weight loss goals with help through Hers. Get started at forhers.com/4u to access affordable, doctor-trusted weight loss plans. That's forhers.com/4u, forhers.com/4u. Paid for by Hims and Hers Health. Weight loss by Hers is not available everywhere. Compounded products are not FDA approved or verified for safety, effectiveness, or quality. Prescription required. Restrictions at forhers.com apply.
Dreaming of blissful summer days and creamy popsicles? Capture sun-drenched memories with the Orange Vanilla Dream Hydration Multiplier from Liquid IV. Just one stick and 16 ounces of water can help hydrate you better than water alone. Live your summer dream with Liquid IV. Tear, pour, live more. Go to liquidiv.com and get 20% off your first order with code INDULGE20 at checkout.
Corporate megastores are spending millions lobbying D.C. politicians on one-sided policies that send small businesses tumbling. They want to enact harmful credit card mandates that take resources away from your local credit union and community bank, leaving Main Street businesses with less access to credit, making it harder for your family to pay for everyday goods like gas and groceries. Tell Congress to guard your card and oppose the Durbin-Marshall credit card mandates.
Paid for by Electronic Payments Coalition.
Yeah, and I can't even imagine just how frustrating and how infuriating it is. You talked about, sadly, Randy, these attacks on law enforcement. It's very difficult to be a law enforcement officer. I feel like now, given all of these things and the politics that you just brought in, and many of them are injured in the line of duty or whether they're attacked on the line of duty, whatever the case is. Talk about how you created the Wounded Blue and your own story, too, because it inspired you in many ways to create this really powerful organization.
Well, I've had I loved being a police officer, Rita. I did it for 34 years. Not to say that there wasn't darkness during those times. There's been plenty. I've seen things like every other police officer has that no human being should ever really be exposed to. But we take that job on. When we wear that badge and we put that badge on and we swear to God that we're going to uphold the Constitution of the United States, we believe that we're sheepdogs. We will take the risk for the people that we serve. And so with that risk comes physical, challenges. We take emotional and psychological challenges because of what the job entails. And that's something that we willingly take. Now, what we're not prepared for is the effect of trauma that takes place over the years. We believe that we're ready for it, but we're often not. So my organization is the Wounded Blue. We're the National Assistance and Support Organization for injured and disabled officers. And we recognize injuries as being either physical or emotional and psychological, because post-traumatic stress can be as real as a bullet. And I've buried a lot of friends. I've buried a lot of comrades that have succumbed to the darkness. The police suicide rate, Rita, is something that's rarely talked about. And, this is September. We're in Suicide Awareness Month right now. And the reality is that we have more police officers that die by their own hand than will be killed in the line of duty. And that is a horrible statistic. We don't even know, quite honestly, we don't even know the true number of police officers who kill themselves. And I'm not just now. I'm talking about current, but we don't even have any way of recognizing the number of officers who die by their own hand who have been retired. Because just because you hang up your badge and gun doesn't mean that the pain goes away. And that's why my organization is so critical. I created it out of a sense of need. Believe me, when I was going through my career as a police officer and I was edging towards retirement, I did not anticipate that this would be my future, that I would be dedicating my life to this organization. But it's a need. It has to be done, because the reality is that our officers are suffering. Many of the cops that become injured in the line of duty will literally be thrown away by their own agencies. I have story after story after story that would break your heart about police officers who have sacrificed so much in the line of duty and only to be tossed aside literally like an old shoe. I'll give you one example. You're going to have a hard time believing it, but it is absolutely fact. Police officer in Oklahoma chasing a vehicle that he doesn't know has 3 hired killers on the way to kill a federal judge. You can say, and this is all captured on the camera from the vehicle. He's in a pursuit. They're doing about 100 miles an hour. You see the back windshield break out of the SUV, and a .223 round, a high-powered rifle round, goes through the windshield and hits the officer in the head.
Wow.
He goes unconscious, loses control of his vehicle. It swerves off the road. It tumbles time after time after time and hits a tree. He's severely injured. They don't even give him a neurologist. They didn't even give him the proper medical care, saying it was medically unnecessary. He's got a bullet in his head, Rita.
Why is that? I mean, my jaw is dropping as I'm hearing this story, Randy. Why is that? Why is it clearly not sufficient, minimally?
Well, so let me just continue just for a second. So they don't give him the proper medical treatment. They don't pay his medical bills for a year and a half. He loses his house. He loses his car. He's got a wife. He's got 2 children. And it wasn't until the media stepped forward and exposed that his medical bills had not been paid, that suddenly the workers' comp system in Oklahoma finally paid his medical bills. But at the end of the day, they gave him 1 year's salary, which, by the way, is $35,000. That's what they paid this officer, $35,000, and then they fired him.
Wow. Wow. What is it? Is it ignorance or what is the reason?
No.
I mean, that's astounding.
And if I told you that was an isolated incident, I would be lying to you. It's happening across America. Now, if you go to New York City and you get injured in the line of duty, because they have strong workers' comp laws, strong union, then that's not going to happen. But you go to many, many areas of this country. See, here's the fact. There are more than 18,000 different police agencies in this nation, Rita, and 80% of them have less than 30 police officers. They're not covered by unions. They're not covered by associations. So therefore, a corrupt system envelops them. And when I talk about corrupt system, I'm talking about the workers' comp system in many, many cities, states, and locations. There are millions of dollars at stake, and they are making money. There are people making money, millions and millions of dollars over the bodies of police officers, and that's the reality.
And it's just infuriating. It's heartbreaking to hear. You guys give so much, and the job is inherently risky, as you know all too well. It's so dangerous, as we talked about, especially when we're talking about repeat offenders and just the climate that we're in. And then to have that is shocking. You went through your own experience too, Randy. I know you were at the Princeton, New Jersey department, then you were at Vegas police. Tell us what happened in your own case.
Yeah, I was 24 years with Las Vegas Metro. I loved being a police officer with Metro. I achieved the rank of lieutenant, and I never tested any higher because that's the last rank you can actually be on the street. And I worked graveyard shift my entire lieutenant's career because in Vegas, that's where the action is. And I one night I was on patrol. I suffered a stroke in my police car. And it was literally the most frightening moment in my life. I lost the ability to speak and to move, and I crumpled to the pavement where tourists were walking by me, my inert body, unable to move, unable to speak, unable to communicate, taking my photograph with their phones. And I got to the hospital. They rushed me to the hospital, and they gave me the news that was my last night as a police officer, that I had suffered a stroke, that I had on duty, of course, in my police car, and it's an automatic workers' comp injury by the laws of the state of Nevada. They found out I had a serious heart problem because actually this is something that happens to police officers all over the nation. Serious heart issues. That's part of the stress of being a cop. And my own department, shockingly, just turned its back on me and said, "Randy, we're not paying your medical bills. We're not giving you your benefits. See you later."
Oh my goodness!
And I was absolutely shocked. Doesn't even do the word justice. I was in disbelief. Wait a minute! You can't do that. It's the law. The law is very clear, and we're law enforcement. How can you not follow the law? And you're a law enforcement agency. And I went to go see the sheriff who I'd served with for 24 years. And I said, "How do you treat me like this?" And he looked me right in the eye and he said, "Randy, this isn't personal, man. Just business." And those words will haunt me forever. And I got to tell you, during the year and a half it took me to fight them and to take them to court and to get them to pay my bills and give me my rightful benefits, I was in a very dark place a lot of those times. And you see, and here's the harsh reality. They knew they were going to lose the case, but yet they spent tens of thousands of dollars of taxpayers' money to fight me, knowing it would take about a year and a half to play out. And the harsh reality is they were hoping I would die in the meantime.
Wow.
Or give up. And that way they wouldn't have to pay. You see, I was no longer an asset. I was now a liability. And that's the way they're viewing police officers who get injured in the line of duty in many, many, many situations. My entire team of police officers that are part of the Wounded Blue, they're called the Peer Advocate Support Team because they've all been shot, stabbed, beaten, run over, all face serious post-traumatic stress, came in on the other side and still serve. I have officers who've been blinded, officers in wheelchairs, officers who have faced incredible challenges, and they continue to serve in incredible ways by being a member of the peer advocate support team. Because you see, everybody, when you get injured in the line of duty, you're facing the darkness of post-traumatic stress. You believe you're alone. And that's why our motto is so important to us, Rita. Never forgotten, never alone. That's what we live by, because we know what it feels like, and we can't let that happen to our officers. And that's why, we've helped more than 16,000 police officers in the last 5 years. And that's an astounding number. And quite honestly, Rita, I'll know that I'm successful when the Wounded Blue doesn't even need to exist anymore. But quite honestly, I don't think I'll ever see that day.
It is absolutely, I think, for people listening to this podcast, astounding that many officers, like you even, were left on your own. And luckily, you had the courage to fight it. Just like you said, it's such a tough fight. You're already going through your own ailments and then have to fight in some of these departments across the country. It is, it's infuriating, too. I get angry because I feel like the least we could do is make sure that you are well taken care of and your families, because you are sacrificing so much. So how can people help, and tell us a little bit more about the Wounded Blue, what you do for these officers and the families, and how people out here listening can get involved and help?
Well, I firmly believe that the vast majority of Americans believe in and support and trust their law enforcement, their city cops, their state police. They believe in law enforcement, but yet they are the silent majority, and as a result, you don't hear their voices. I actually believe that the Wounded Blue is a healer, and because it shouldn't matter whether you have a D at the end of your political affiliation or an R. This is about empathy. This is about compassion. This is about service and sacrifice, and it shouldn't matter what your political affiliations are. The men and women who have served in this nation's law enforcement, who have sacrificed, who have been injured, deserve to be treated with compassion, with empathy. They deserve to be given enough compensation to feed their families, to get the proper medical attention. And so the only way, unfortunately, is to bring this to light, because most Americans, this is a fact, Rita. Raising money for a nationwide charity is very difficult, and I don't take a salary. I live on my pension. I don't take a dime out of this charity. But one of the things that I run across is I tell people this story, and they look at me like in disbelief because it's so hard to conceive of that a police officer can become disabled in line of duty and literally be thrown away like an old shoe. So in order to help the Wounded Blue, you can support this organization by going to thewoundedblue.org, thewoundedblue.org. See who we are, see what we do, and hit that donate button. If you're a business and you can help, if you are a business and you want to support law enforcement, I would urge you to contact me directly. And I'm Randy at thewoundedblue.org, because there's a bunch of different ways businesses can get involved to help us, both by sponsorships and by and there's some very novel ways that businesses can help without taking any money even out of their own businesses and pockets. There's some very, very novel ways. But if you have questions, contact me, Randy at thewoundedblue.org. I am an open book. I will give you the truth about what is happening across this nation. And if you're a law enforcement officer or you know one who is struggling because of either a physical injury or because of an emotional and psychological, please let them know about the Wounded Blue. There are people that care. There are people that will stand with them. And that is exactly what we do. And we've saved a lot of lives. We've saved marriages. We've saved careers. And we're doing some amazing work.
No, you definitely are. Well, this has been eye-opening, and I think everybody listening has learned so much of, sadly, what happens sometimes to our law enforcement who put their lives on the line and then have to deal with another fight if they are injured. It's incredible. And I encourage everybody listening, absolutely check out thewoundedblue.org. And everybody be sure to subscribe and share this podcast. Lieutenant Randy Sutton, I love the motto too, never forgotten, never alone. And we stand with you and applaud what you're doing. And I hope every American listening to this podcast goes online and does whatever they can, and also companies too as well, because we can all play a big role to support our great men and women in blue. Thank you so much, Randy.
And I want to personally thank you, Rita, because you have been a staunch supporter of the American law enforcement community for years. So I thank you.
Thank you, Randy. You're terrific. And we are always with you. Thank you, Randy. And everybody, I'll be back soon with another great edition of Protecting America. And of course, you can catch me every weeknight, 10 p.m. to midnight on the legendary WABC Radio. This is Rita Cosby, and thanks for all you do to protect America.
Lowe's knows how to get you ready for holiday hosting with up to 35% off select home decor. And get up to 35% off select major appliances. Plus, members get free delivery, haul-away, basic installation, parts, and a 2-year Lowe's protection plan when you spend $2,500 or more on select LG major appliances. Valid through 10/1. Member offer excludes Massachusetts, Maryland, Wisconsin, New Jersey, and Florida. Installed by independent contractors. Exclusions apply. See Lowe's.com for more details.